freestyle travel. Hey everybody, Kenflannery here. As always, I am in Istanbul at the moment and got a pretty good episode for you. Getting into Turkey, coming from Armenia, where I left you off last time, where I got punked by a rabbit. Again, overpaid for a rabbit by 10 times. That's the last episode in Yerevan. So yeah, this episode I'm going to take you down to the bottom of Armenia. Some hospitality from people picking me up hitchhiking big time all the way through from Armenia back into Georgia briefly because there are no land borders open right now between Armenia and Turkey. So I had to go back through Georgia into Turkey and up to the Black Sea and eventually to Istanbul, where I am now, dealing with the police a little bit, dealing with awesome people, a bunch of walking, bunch of hitchhiking, and some couch surfing, all the good stuff. So yeah, that's what's up on this episode. Wanted to mention Magic Mind again. The good stuff. If you guys haven't tried that yet, you should try it. It's a mental performance shot that I really like. Helped me get back into trip hopping, as I always mention. It's just a little, I think it's like a 2-ounce shot. It's a little shot, this green liquid with all this good stuff, a lot of thought really put into it that just really gets you focused. And the more you drink it as the days and weeks go on, it has an even better effect. You can drink it with or without coffee. I tried a bunch of it. I really, really enjoy it. Helped me get focused into coding. So no matter what you're doing, if you need some focus, Magic Mind is definitely what I recommend. And yeah, I recommend looking at the website too and just seeing all the different ingredients that they put in there. They've got a lot of content that just gets into how good it is. I think they're pretty proud of it. The guy who invented it, wrote a whole book just on coffee. The guy's kind of obsessed with this kind of stuff. So kind of cool that he formulated this, and I think they're always iterating on it just a little bit too. They've kind of nailed it, but it seems like I don't know, they just want to make it better however they can. So pretty cool. I get emails from them all the time and just kind of hear about all the stuff that they're doing. So it's pretty good if you want to give it a shot yourself. They gave me a special code, which is cool because now that's your special code. You can go to magicmind.com/freestyle show and use my code, your code, freestyle show 20, freestyle show 20, and get 20% off, which is cool. You can get a subscription or just get a one-time dose of it just to see if you like it. But I think you'll like it. It's tasty. Matcha tea, mushrooms, and all this other good stuff. And speaking of trip hopping, which I always associate with Magic Mind just because I went years without coding and just wanted to get trip hopping going again. If you haven't checked out trip hopping yet, that's the app I created having to deal with all things travel, especially in the realm of rideshare and couch surfing and spontaneous meetups. You can go to triphopping.com and check it out, or you can, if you have an Android phone, you can get the Android app and be one of the first testers. I'll put a link to a Google group in the show notes, and yeah, take a look at that, click the link, request to join. I think it asks you why you want to join, and yeah, just give me a sentence or two of just say you heard it on the podcast here, or whatever it is that you want to check it out, and then yeah, I'll approve you and you'll get a link to download the Android app and check out trip hopping. It's pretty cool. I'm live right now on trip hopping in Istanbul, where I'm recording this podcast. So if you were here in Istanbul, or if you're just on trip hopping, you would see that and you could say, hey, let's go hang out, or hey, I'm not in Istanbul, but I was there once and you should check this out. Went to a brewery today. Not many of those in Turkey. I'll get to that as I get to that. But yeah, let's start the show and bring us back to Yerevan and start hitchhiking together. Let's do it. All right, so yeah, a lot of movement here. So I was in Yerevan, the big city in Armenia, having just couch surfed via Trust Be Welcome. with this couple. That was super cool. And yeah, excited to see the south of the country. So walked a little bit out of the city, which is always a thing. I think I was kind of like bragging on the last episode in Eurovan's behalf how much I liked that it was like a small city. Like you could walk across the whole thing in less than an hour, but what I didn't realize was the sprawl. So yes, the center of it and everything you want to see is like right there, but then it actually indeed does sprawl out. So I had to walk quite a bit to find like a decent hitchhiking spot, and as soon as I did, I got a ride, and it was a great ride. This guy was going south, and we cruised along, just started getting more and more beautiful. Armenia is the shit. Lots of mountains, lots of terrain. That's what I like, going up and down. Seeing big views, it's all about that. This guy did not speak great English at all. He did have Google Translate on tap, as many people do, I've noticed, especially this year. People are quick to pull out their phone, everybody from 20-year-olds to 70-year-olds. Everyone seems to know about Google Translate now. So yeah, there's a little bit of back and forth through that, and then we got into wine country, more or less, and then we stopped, and then he came back, and he had gotten us some bread and cheese and a bottle of wine. And turns out that whole bottle was for me, which I guess, I don't know, for the best. He was driving. But yeah, so I'm just like going through as the sun is like starting to get to that sunset, nice light, like in all these mountains. I'm drinking wine and getting full on cheese and bread, and just like, this is good times. And then as it's getting darker and we're getting closer to where he's going, we probably rode together for 3 or 4 hours, something like that, maybe more. And yeah, he's asking like, what do I do at night? Where am I sleeping? And explain to him I've got like a tent, I'll probably camp. And then he's like, oh, let me help you out and give you a place to stay. So this is kind of funny. I was like, yeah, definitely. I almost always say yes to that kind of thing. And we get to his town, and I guess he owns a couple shops. So we stopped at like the shoe shop, and met his son, who was closer to my age, or a little younger than me actually, and had a quick coffee. And his son spoke a little bit better English and explained to me that they were gonna take me to this property that they were eventually going to turn into like some resorts or something, and that I could stay there. So we go to this property, like open up the gate, we go in there, everything's totally overgrown, and there's a big cement 2-3 story building. And then we just started trying to break in, basically, because he got the key in his, like, I almost wanted to take a video over the guy's shoulder, because it was like crazy keychain ring with like all these big goofy like cartoonish skeleton keys with a big wire coming out of that, and like the door itself looked like I don't know, like rock, metal, punk fucking artwork. I don't know, all these different like weird keyholes and things sliding different ways to expose other keyholes, and he's jamming keys into all these things and shaking the door, and it's just not opening. And finally he gets a crowbar and he's trying to pry the fucker open. And yeah, he had explained before that, or the son maybe, that there was going to be no water or electricity. And I was like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm just here for the experience. Like, really, because I can camp kind of wherever. But yeah, I was excited to kind of get in there and see what this like little place looked like. I'm sure they had plans to fix it up and build all these other little condos on the property or something. He kind of pointed out. Take a sip of this shitty beer real quick. I don't know if you can hear the prayers going off in the background. That is a thing here in Turkey, multiple times a day, no matter where you are. Yeah, it just wasn't working. We were probably there for maybe 20 minutes, at least 15, just trying to break in and just trying to break the lock open. He's sweating finally. I'm like, all right, I guess we're giving up. So we head back to the car and stop at some little store. And I'm not sure exactly what's going on, and I'm starting to feel bad because I'm like, damn, this dude's probably just gonna get home and chill, and now we're going on like an hour of fucking around just trying to find me a floor to sleep on. So he takes me to this little like storage unit kind of spot, and then his son comes in with a blanket and pillow, and yeah, gave me a place to sleep in there. And it was more than just a storage unit. It just had that, it was the same size as like a shipping container. But it had a sink in there and like a little stove, and there was a big table, and he pointed to a few bottles of vodka. He's like, help yourself, like, and they just kind of left me there for the night. There was electricity, and that was nice, just to charge the phone, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's what I did. Charged my phone and fell asleep. Woke up at 8 o'clock, and he showed up with a cake and tea. Fucking A. Well, he showed up with cake and he made tea. And yeah, we sort of chatted through Google Translate again. He pointed at these mountains we could see in the distance, and he's like, yeah, that used to be Armenia, but Azerbaijan stole it. I don't know why. He was showing me a bunch of videos in the car too of like different stuff from Armenia, and some of it was stuff that Azerbaijan. I've only heard his side / Armenia's side of the story, so I don't really know the whole story here. I'm sure I could Google it and find out a little bit more, but yeah, I guess, yeah, Azerbaijan just taking a bunch of shit from Armenia. And he was saying that he was hoping that while America and Europe are here, and I guess he meant like while they're fucking around in Israel and Russia, he's hoping that they'll like pop in and be like, hey, Azerbaijan, knock it off. Give Armenia their sweet ass mountain back. I forget the name of the mountain, Dagaro or something like that. It looked pretty cool from the videos, pretty nice. I was like, god damn, that's kind of crazy. And I was like, how long ago did all this shit happen? He's like, 2 years. I'm like, damn, that's fresh. So kind of sucks. But like I said, I don't know the whole story. Yeah, but either way, kind of lame. Nobody should be taking shit from anybody, especially just like mountains where people want to go and hike and chill. But yeah, something's going on there. So he gave me a ride up to the main road again. Take another sip of this shit beer. And Azerbaijan, man, I wanted to go to Azerbaijan. I looked real briefly initially when I thought I was going to be in this part of the world, and I think the visa is like $20 as opposed to free. But what I found out as I got closer in like Georgia is that like all the land borders are shut. Definitely with Armenia, because some of the shit I was just talking about. But also I heard the same was true with Georgia, but I got a ride later that said something different. I don't know. People were saying different things. Either way, I did not get to Azerbaijan, even though I saw it here and there in different parts of the borders. Oh well, maybe another time. But yeah, he dropped me off on the main road, and still, it was kind of one way down and one way up because of these border issues. And I knew that I was basically going to go to the bottom of Armenia and pretty much take the same road to come back up, because wasn't going to be going to Iran and or Iraq or Azerbaijan. Kind of don't like going up and down the same way, hiking or hitchhiking or anything like that. But yeah, I like to see different stuff. But luckily, it was beautiful. And luckily, I did sort of take a different way coming back up. Basically the same, but a little bit different. So anyways, got on the road, hitched a ride from a guy, and he said he was going to Goris, which was kind of on my radar. Wasn't totally planning to go, but because he was going, I was like, ah, fuck it. Let's go to this Goris place and see what it's about. And I'm glad I did. He dropped me off at the town, and it seemed like a small, sloping downtown. I'm like, I don't know if there's going to be much going on here. And I walked through the quiet little town, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to go sit down and, yeah, just chill for a second. And then the bench I found was looking out at these, like, pretty cool rock formations. So yeah, this is why this is the thing. This is actually pretty beautiful. So I'm sitting there just like looking out onto that and thinking where I might go, taking a look at the map, thinking how I'll get out of Goris. And I'm just kind of looking up at the rocks and the trees, and I'm noticing in the trees, I'm like, are those hops? I'm like, what? No, it can't be hops. Hops don't grow in trees. And I'm like, no, those look like hops. And then I look closer, and it's a hop vine that's woven through the tree. And then I look around, and there's more hops, like on their own in vines, just growing wild. I'm like, what the fuck? This is awesome. Hops. I want some beer. So instantly, I got on Google Maps. I'm like, brewery in Goris, and nothing showed up. It's like, damn, how's there not a brewery here? Like, I thought I might be sitting next to one or something, you know? Another sip of beer on that note. Beautiful hops. Yeah, and I found a whole wall where they're growing. I was able to pull some off and crack them open, give them a whiff, try to guess what kind of hops they were. And yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't think it was something super lame like Nugget or something. It was a little bit more floral. Not to talk shit on Nugget. Nuggets have nice bitterness. But yeah, a little more floral. Pretty good. And yeah, they're just everywhere. So I took some pictures of those. Popped those on the Instagram, I think. I know I did. I don't know if it was a story or whatever. But yeah, I took a bunch of pictures of those because... pretty photogenic, these hops, you know? So, yeah, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then as I was walking along, I looked at the map again. I was like, oh, nice. There is another road to get out of this town that's different than the road I came in on. I'll hitchhike that way. And it turns out that that road was just totally empty. So I walked for, I don't know how long it was, probably about 2 hours with no cars passing me after the first like mile or two. This nuts. So I walked the whole way. It was a really nice walk though. It was through the mountains on a road, but just a road with zero traffic. But it was like going on a hike, you know. It was a cool road, like I said. Going up and down and getting different views of those same rock formations and stuff, and then finally into countryside, and then back to the main road. Down to Armenia, through Armenia I go. So yeah, once I got to the main road, easy, catching rides again. There's a couple that at first I thought was like a father and daughter, but then definitely a couple. That was interesting. They were just going to some like viewpoint, which 100% I would not have known about or gone to, but because they were going there, I checked it out. It's pretty cool, just like an outcropping into the valley with some sort of little gazebo thing. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Popped back onto the road, kept going. Then I got a ride from a guy who was going all the way to the last town I wanted to go to, which was called Kapan. Almost to the very bottom of Armenia as far as I could go, just about. And when I had searched for a brewery in Goris, a brewery there popped up. So I'm like, hell yeah, a little touchstone here. So first I walked through the town of Kapan just to kind of get a feel for it. Nothing too crazy. Was, you know, mountains on either side. A little Azerbaijan action going on in the background. And I walked to the brewery, and there's two women there, and they had 4 beers. And luckily they let me sit there. I thought it was like, from the look of on Google Maps and everything, I thought it was like maybe even a restaurant, but definitely a tap room or something. It was not. But she opened up the garage door to the kegging room and yeah, let me chill there and kind of spoke in broken English with them. And they let me open up the bottle and drink a dunkel. Nothing. It was good. Nothing special. It's just a dunkel, but at least it was clean. You know, brewed really well. I was like, this is kind of surprising. No one else there, and yeah, ended up meeting the brewer, which was one of their husbands, and he took me into the other room where the brewery was, and damn, it was impressive. Like actually. Looked like a 7.5 barrel system, maybe about 10 stainless big fermenters. Way more impressive than I thought from the room I was sitting in with a bunch of like plastic kegs and stuff. I was like, this is like a, you know, step above homebrew, but done well. And then I go in there and I'm like, oh damn, dude, you got like $1 million worth of equipment in here. You should definitely have a tap room. Another sip of beer. So that was cool meeting him. He popped open another bottle I didn't have to pay for, and that was pretty good. Armenia is fairly cheap in general, which is good. But free beer's even better than cheap beer. And yeah, it's basically in like their spot. So, you know, opened up the fridge, gave me some chocolate, here's some bread, have some cheese. Like, it's just like being at someone's house who brews beer, which is fucking awesome. So by the time I left there, it was dark, and I was like, all right, well, guess I'm gonna camp. So I had to walk a bit to camp. Got some stories coming up here. I've done this past week or so. It's been a lot of camping and walking around trying to find decent spots. Luckily, this was not the worst of those nights. I was able to find a spot to tuck away and start hitchhiking again in the morning. And at this point, I was like, all right, let me get back into Turkey, you know? I've kind of seen what I need to see here in Armenia. And I'll probably be back, I'm sure, between Georgia and Armenia. There's plenty of reasons to go back, so no reason to be super thorough. And yeah, start heading up. And the first, the first ride I got was a guy who was going like way, like practically to Georgia. I was like, oh shit. I kind of thought about stopping in Yerevan on the way back up, but because he was going like even above that, I was like, yeah, fuck it, let me get the ride while it's going. So I cruised with that guy good chunk of the day, and yeah, jumped out there and started hitching west along the south of the Georgian border, and then finally, you know, a bunch of rides here and there, and then finally got a ride to the border. Yeah, it was already dark by the time someone dropped me off at the border to Georgia. And yeah, that was an easy border crossing for the most part. Stamped out real easy, stamped in to Georgia. But when my bag went through the x-ray, she's like, you have a drone in there? And oh man, right away I was like, fuck, dude. Because I've done my research on the drone. I've got like a little Mavic Mini drone that I use for the beer show and other stuff, and it's specifically 249 grams, so it's like, I don't know, its class is not as much of a drone as other drones. And anyways, I've done some research about it in different countries, and you know, I knew I should be in the clear in countries like Armenia, Turkey, and Georgia. But you never know. You never know who's gonna, you know, I've had TSA take stuff from me and other stuff happen. Usually depends more on the person than the rules. So I'm like, all right, here we go. In my mind, I'm like, I'm about to lose this thing. So she asked me to pull it out, reach in the bag and grab it and take it. And yeah, luckily all she did was take a picture of my passport in frame with the drone. Didn't even like unfold it or anything. No idea why she took the picture or what that'll be used for, but that was it. And then I was on my way. So a little bit of a scare there for a second that she was going to take that. You know, wouldn't be the end of the world, but also not ideal. Sip of beer. And yeah, then I'm just, and it was kind of a remote border, a little bit. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just going to have to like walk until I can find a place to camp. But then a guy did give me a ride, I don't know, like 20 kilometers up the road or something. And we were just like super high elevation, and it was going to be below freezing that night, which is crazy because it's like, I don't know, I guess I've just been in summer mode for too long. I'm like, damn, I'm in below freezing temperatures already. So yeah, nowhere to camp at all. So it was one of those nights where I had to stay in one of the little hotels of this like almost like borderish kind of town. Luckily it was cheap. It's Georgia, you know, so it was like $10 for the night kind of thing. Yeah, had to do it and slept really well. The dude who owned the place was super friendly. There was like a kitchen full of coffee and other stuff. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Took advantage of the shower to wash clothes and do all that stuff and just kind of juice up, get everything charged, feeling pretty good, and get moving in the morning, ready to go to Turkey. Another sip of beer. So I, how'd that day go? Yeah, I got moving and didn't have far to go to the border to Turkey. But the closer I got, the less traffic there was. I got to what I thought was going to be a main road. I'm like, oh, nice. It was like a 2-kilometer walk from where I got dropped off to this, what I thought was a main road. I'm like, cool, just 2 kilometers. Like, I'll get there, and then everyone's going to be going to Turkey. There's just like no traffic. Finally, a guy picked me up, and he took me like to within 15 kilometers of the border. And I pretty much, think of 5 kilometers as an hour as a general rule of thumb as far as walking. So I'm like, God damn, I got a 3-hour walk to this border. And Slovakian couple came and saved the day, scooped me up. And I don't know what they were doing. They sort of told me they were like traveling through, and I'm like, but they weren't going over the border. So I'm like, what? I don't get it. Like, this is a one-way road. There's nothing here. It's not scenic per se. I mean, it's okay, but whatever. They dropped me off at the border and turned around. So no idea where they were going, really. It's kind of strange. But they got me to the border. And yeah, got stamped out of Georgia real easy. Walked through no man's land. Got stamped into Turkey. That dude barely even looked at my passport. And then as I walked through one of those metal detectors. It kind of went off, but I think they were on a cigarette break or whatever, so I just kept walking. Real long hallway, and finally got to the end of the hallway, and there was like one last woman once I got outside who like asked to see my passport, and she's like, did my friends check your bag and everything? I was like, oh, the metal detectors? And she's like, okay, good. I'm like, all right, good. Perfect. Just after the little drone scare, I'm like, I just, whatever. I don't need anyone else. The less people search my bags or do anything, the less crap I gotta deal with, the better life is. So got on my way, and then I actually got a ride from someone who worked there. It was this girl wearing Gucci sunglasses who spoke a little bit of English, working customs, and I don't know if she'd like seen me there or not. Didn't matter. I think she was just getting off work, saw me and picked me up. And she trains the drug dogs. It's only 2 of them at this tiny little border. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I wish I spoke Turkish or her better English, but to hear some more of her stories, she did manage to tell me the biggest bust was $1 million worth of cocaine. I'm not sure how much that was. I was trying to figure that out. It was kind of more interesting to me. I'm like, what do you call $1 million of cocaine? I was like, like a refrigerator size amount, like a tractor trailer amount. Like, what are we talking here? How much? I would have loved to dig into that story, like how exactly did you find it? How are you tipped off? Like, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, it was cool. She gave me a ride like 20 miles in, back in Turkey. Woohoo! Back in Turkey, and I was stoked because I still had some lira. Turkish lira is useless outside of Turkey, I found. And I had about $40-something worth of it. So I'm like, all right, I need to use this in Turkey. This is basically like free money, fun money, cool money. Like, don't just budget, like you got to spend this. So, eat some good food and whatever. Get a hotel if you need it. Knock yourself out with this money, kind of money. I tried to use some of that lira in somewhere, either Georgia or Armenia, and I tried to go to a currency exchange or a bank or something, and they were just like, no, we don't take that. I'm like, fuck, dude, you're like a neighboring country and you don't take this? This is definitely useless. This lira stuff. I think it's just devalued and just nobody wants this stuff. Even in Turkey, like, you can tell that they're not like, it's not a big deal when you pay cash, but you can kind of tell they'd rather you pay with a card or something. But anyways, back in Turkey, like, all right, cool, let's have some fun, kick around, and just for no real reason other than somebody told me this town Artvin was worth checking out. I was like, all right, let me head there. My thought was like, let me get up to the Black Sea. I'll go through Artvin and just like coast along the Black Sea and like slowly make my way back to Europe, I guess, and just kind of make that my mission and maybe zigzag around Turkey a little bit. But Artvin was the first kind of spot. So hitching some rides and simple burr. Yeah, it's been a lot of not really talking to people, to be honest. Like all the hitchhiking, it's been few and far between a fluent conversation, you know. Me not taking the time to learn Armenian or Georgian or Turkish, you know. It's kind of a big undertaking when I'm only going to be here for weeks or a month. And yeah, people not speaking English, because why? Why would they? So it's led to a couple things. Anyways, I just bring that up because there was like a faster main road to get to Artvin, and I wound up on a different one just because of a little miscommunication, but it worked out for the best. At first I was like, oh, okay, this could be a slow day, because there's another one of those situations where I was just walking along the road for like 20 minutes without a car coming. I'm like, okay. But what I like about those roads is that, I don't know if people just kind of know themselves, but you tend to get a ride in fewer cars, because, I don't know, I think people just know that, like, if I don't pick this guy up, who will? So I got picked up by this guy who was the mayor of one of the other towns I'd gone through, which is kind of funny. This guy was zipping. Oh, so this road was just beautiful. So this is one of those mistakes that turned out for the best. I mean, who knows? Maybe the other road was even better, but kind of doubt it, because this road was just awesome. Super beautiful. Zigzagging through the mountains, and he was just whipping around corners, cruising, giving me an apple and a pear and like all this stuff from his garden. Yeah, he said he was the mayor of this other town. There's another guy in the car with him, and he's like, I got 5 days off, so I'm going to Batumi, which is in Georgia, where I had been as well. I'm like, all right, cool. So we're just zipping along, and then like all these reservoirs and the river opening up and this big gorge and stuff. Like, man, this is awesome. We finally get to Artvin, which is just built on the slope of a mountain. Super cool. And he drops me off there. Get a little doner. That's my standard European snack, really. It's usually the cheap stuff, but especially here in Turkey, you can get if you don't know what a doner is, it's basically like a burrito with a shaved meat, and yeah, it's usually fairly cheap, just like the equivalent of $3 thereabouts, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. Yeah, and then that fueled me to hike up Artvin to the quote center, I guess, and just kind of checked that out. Stopped in one spot, got a little baklava, just balling out of control, shaving my lira all around. Having a good time. Some girl in braces like sat and talked to me for a minute. She's like, you don't look like you belong here. I want to talk to you. Who are you? I'm like, this is the most fluent English conversation I've had in a week. Good to meet you. Chatted with her, and I was kind of hoping I could have found a place to stay out of that, but didn't happen. So I'm like, all right, now I tried to ask her if there's anywhere to camp around there. She's like, one day I want to go camping. I'm like, it's not totally what I asked. I was trying to find out if there's a place around here. And yeah, so that was one night where it took a bit. So, because the whole city is just built on this mountain, so every square foot of usable land is used. So I had to hike down the roads on that one, over the river, and up the mountainside on the other side. And yeah, I'm just like, damn, can I get one piece of flat ground? Like somewhere to lay down here? And not so much, till I finally got towards the top. There's a big electric tower, which is a little sketch, you know, because you hear it crackling. I'm like, do I really want to sleep under this? Like, I know nothing's gonna happen, but maybe I'll die from cancer, like years from now because of this night, or tumor or some shit. I have no idea. But yeah, it was literally the only flat piece of ground human-sized, like, which is always kind of amazing to me, you know, like, You think there'd be like one little divot somewhere else, but no, I was pretty thorough in looking. That was the spot, but it meant a good view in the morning, and honestly a good view that night too, just to see the lights of the whole city on the other side of the mountain going up. So hiked on down in the morning and hitchhiked by the tunnel, and at this point I was maybe an hour or so away from getting to the Black Sea. There's Cyderobin. So cruising along, and Turkish people, as they are incredibly hospitable, at least in my experiences here. So got a couple short rides from people just giving me apples and various nuts and things like that. And then this one guy going to Hopa, which is on the Black Sea. As we got closer, asked if I was hungry. I was like, yeah. And then we stopped, he parked and took me to this restaurant and pointed at a bunch of stuff, and then came back with this plate of everything. Like everything. All the meats, all the cheeses, all the vegetables, all the things, slapped it down. And then I saw him go up to the register, pay. He came back with a Fanta, put that down, shook my hand, and I was like, damn, thank you, man. I thought he was gonna eat with me, but no, he just took me in here and slapped the plate down and paid and bounced. I was like, oh shit, dude, fucking awesome. Still, thank you. And chowed down. That was a good meal, actually. It was probably the best I'd eaten in a few days at least. And yeah, walked along the beach, not the beach, but the water after that a little bit, and then back up to the highway to continue along. And as I kind of got at, I was kind of rambling at this point. No set destination. There was not many people on trust routes along the Black Sea towns that I found. So kind of winging it. Even when people were picking me up, I was sort of saying a different thing every time as far as like, where are you going? And who should stop but that same exact guy, the guy who paid for my big meal. And this is like, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour later, something like that. I'm like, oh damn. And we both kind of laughed, and I jumped into the van, and through Google Translate he told me that he delivers flowers, and I had told him that I was going to Trabzon just because it was something, want to say something, and he was going to Trabzon. So he explained if I wanted to come deliver flowers and stuff with him, that eventually we would get to Trabzon. So I was like, all right. And Trabzon was like an hour and a half away if you were to drive straight. So I was like, oh, cool. So we go to the next town and deliver flowers. So we're delivering these flowers. He's got the whole van full of them. The guy who owns the flower shop speaks decent English. So they talk and sort of translate, and we have some tea and hang out for a minute, and the guy's like, yeah, this guy can take you to Trabzon, but he's not going to get there till like 6 p.m. because of all these flower deliveries. So he's like, if you want, he'll just drop you off at the next town, and you can keep going, or you can spend the day with him delivering flowers if you want. And I'm like, I will not spend the whole day delivering flowers. One delivery was cool, for sure, but yeah, I don't need to spend the whole day doing that. So that's what I did. Got dropped off at the next town. This guy was just fucking awesome. He even handed me like 200 or 400 lira as I got out. I was like, damn, dude, he bought me a meal, took me on flower deliveries. We had tea. Now you're giving me 400 lira. I think it was either 200 or 400. Every 200 lira is like a little more than $5. So it's pretty awesome. Like $5 or $10. That's several meals. Fucking awesome, really. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, and I got picked up again. Sip of beer, the suspense. I got picked up by like an identical van 5 minutes later. And this guy was going to frickin' Europe. He's like, yeah, I'm going he didn't speak great English either, but figure it out. The Google Translate in other ways, he tells me that he's going to Istanbul now, and that he'll continue on somewhere in Europe once he finds out, which we later found out was going to be Germany. I was like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, I think we were at least 15 hours from Istanbul driving straight where he picked me up. And that's like, if you just drive, you know? So I'm like, oh, shit. I did not expect that, you know? Kind of sometimes when I get into the straight rambling hitchhiking mode, where I don't have like a set destination and I'm winging it, like, I kind of like when I get shorter rides. Because that's what I'm sort of hoping for, is just random stuff to happen, or people to suggest things, or maybe someone's like going to some town I haven't heard of. But now it's like he's going all the way to Istanbul, so I'm like, now I need to make choices, damn it. I wanted the road to like unfold before me, and now I'm like, now I have all these options. Now I gotta think, like, I could get out in Trabzon, I could get out in this town, I could go all the way to Istanbul with this guy, and I'm like, all right, I got time to think, literally hours and hours. And I'm like, I don't want to go all the way to Istanbul, because if we don't stop too much, we're going to get to Istanbul like 4 a.m. or something like that, 2 a.m., 6, like, I don't want to show up in a gigantic city, like, at that time of day, night. Like, that's probably not the move, and like, there are some things I would like to see in Turkey. I'm not sure exactly what, like, but some of this stuff along the Black Sea, and got some Schengen visa issues that I'll get into here as I go along. So like, I don't know, kind of speedy. So eventually I settled on Samsun. So I was probably with this guy, I don't know, 6 hours, 8 hours. I spent the day with this guy, basically, cruising along. Again, this Turkish hospitality is awesome. We stopped in one of the cities on the Black Sea, and got some dinner. Yeah, chowed down big time and kept going. And yeah, finally I was like, yeah, Samsun. It had been kind of on my radar, this one town. Didn't know much about it, just had a good feeling about it. Like, I'll stop there. And I looked like we were gonna get there a little ways after sunset. So I'm like, all right, that'll be the move. So he was cool with that. But yeah, as we were getting into Samsun and turning the corner, because he's going around it, you know, he didn't want to stop at the first exit, because I think it would have like thrown us into the city, which would have been ideal for me, but not for him, getting back onto the highway. So next thing we knew, we were a little bit out of the city, and actually it felt like we were way out, but then it's only going to be like 5 kilometers this way. Yeah, taking a sip of burn. Oh, beer. Yeah, it turns out it wasn't that bad, but like we stopped at this gas station. I was like, all right, thanking him for the ride, but then he instantly starts talking to the gas station attendants, and even though I don't speak Turkish, I could tell he was basically saying, hey, I picked up this guy, he's from America, he's hitchhiking, and he needs to get to the center of town, can you give him a ride? I'm like, dude, you do not need to be doing this. Like, these guys are working. And then, as I said, once I looked at the map, I'm like, I'm only 5 kilometers from the center. That's like an hour walk. I don't even know what I'm doing. I probably shouldn't go to the center. I should probably like find a place to camp out here or something. I mean, it was early but dark, you know, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever. And the first guy just seemed to be like, what? And then the second guy seemed more agreeable, and next thing I know, I'm like grabbing my backpack, and he's like, all right, yeah, you've got a ride, no money, or they don't need money or something, you're good. And I'm like, okay. He drives off, and then I'm kind of looking at the first gas station guy, and he's not really giving me any kind of look, and then I'm trying to make eyes with the second guy who seemed more agreeable. I'm like, what just happened? You know, what sort of deal was just made? Like, and then I'm thinking, then I'm looking back at the map, I'm like, I'm just gonna like start walking. And then finally that second guy comes over and asks me if I want tea. So I'm like, all right, I guess there is some sort of agreement or something that's been made. So he brings me some tea, as they do, and start drinking the tea, and I'm still thinking like, all right, so what's going on? Like, this guy's still working. I'm like, either he's about to like take 20 minutes off of work and drive me downtown. That doesn't make sense. Like, are they going to start asking people who are pumping gas if they can give me a ride. Like, am I going to be standing here for 4 hours until he gets off work and then he's going to give me a ride like that? Like, none of these options seem reasonable for anybody. So finishing the tea, and then I'm looking around and I'm basically thinking like, all right, I'm going to get out of here. I might say something to the guy, or try to, because he doesn't speak English. And right as I'm about to make some kind of move, I see police roll up, and I don't really think anything of it until they get out and just start looking at me immediately. And I'm like, oh shit, this guy's just called the police. Like, they're like, some Americans here. Like, I don't know what was said, but yeah, they just called the police. I'm like, god damn it. Hopefully this isn't an issue. And so the police asked to see my passport, and yeah, luckily it did not turn into a whole thing. And they asked me if I had any money or if I was staying in a hotel. I'm like, I don't know. I was just trying to go downtown. I can walk or whatever. And they're like, do you have money? We'll take you downtown. I'm like, I don't know how to answer this question exactly. The best way, especially since their English is not great. I'm like, am I about to get like forced to pay for a police taxi? Or anyway, so they like take me to the police car, 2 guys, and we drive off, and we're heading downtown, I guess, to the center. And they're chill. They're kind of laughing amongst themselves, just like, I don't know, just because their English is so bad, but they're trying. You know how it is, like, if you're speaking another language and you just sound like an idiot and your buddy's making fun of you. Like, it was one of those kind of things. So I'm like, all right, this is casual. This is funny, or whatever. But still, at the same time, I'm like, I hope we don't stop and they ask me for, like, a pile of money, and I definitely hope they don't take me to some fancy hotel and hold my hand all the way in there and like force me to pay or something. I don't know what was going through my head. I was just like, I just don't want to deal with any of that. But luckily they just took me to the center. They pointed across the street at some hotel. They're like, there's a hotel. Get out. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, good. Thank them for the ride. But at the same time, it's like, all right, now I'm in the center. 8, 9 o'clock, and got to find a place to camp or something. And sure enough, I did wind up in a hotel again, feeling fancy, with my pile of lira. How much was that one? I think it was like 400 lira. Yeah, it was like 400 lira, which was what Buddy had given me earlier. So like, that dude didn't know it, but he was paying for my hotel that night. It's the equivalent of like $10 or something. $12, something like that. Yeah, so that worked out pretty well actually, because grabbed a couple beers, went up there, once again got all my stuff charged up, chilling, just feeling good. And then in the morning they said there was like a free breakfast, and actually it was like on the top floor looking 360 over the whole city. I'm like, damn, this place is pretty gangster, dude. Like, and it's kind of like a shithole at the same time. Like, it's kind of bizarre. You got like such a sweet like vista here, and this is like the cheapest hotel in the city. And you know, kind of dirty. Like, I didn't see any cockroaches or anything like that, but it's like, what a weird place. Like, yeah, the stuff torn up on one of the floors you had to walk through to get up to this breakfast spot, and pretty good spread. Olives. Olives. I lead with olives. The olives are good. Some kind of bologna situation, bunch of cheeses, hard-boiled eggs. I don't know. I thought it was fancy. Taking a sip of bourbon. But yeah, things were working out. Things were working out with my little Monopoly money. And being able to do something like that. If you're listening from another country or something, you're probably like, it's an $11 hotel room. It's not that much money. And I guess it's not. I don't know. But it's like 2 hotels and 3 nights or something. It's pretty fancy. So rolling clean. yeah, as I travel, I kind of always do this. I shower with my clothes on, just so I don't have to like rotate as much. And it's nice to be able to do in a hotel. Just shower with boxers and t-shirt on, and just keep that sort of thing fresh. So it's good to be able to do that. Got other moves. You know what a good move is if you're at a coffee shop or anywhere where you can get into a bathroom, and like a semi-private bathroom, even for 3 minutes, what you do is you soap up your shirt, your armpits, and your shirt, and like use your shirt to like scrub it in. So you're like cleaning your shirt and your armpits at the same time with water and all that. And then you pop your shirt off completely, and then you run that under the sink just to rinse all the soap out. Then you wring it out real quick, stick that thing back on. And if it's merino wool, which is what I suggest, what many people suggest when you're traveling, it dries out pretty quick while you're wearing it. That's the move. And if you're quick about it and good about it, and don't drip all over the place like a dick and make it a shitty situation for the next person to use the bathroom, it's a good way to like, yeah, spend 2 or 3 minutes and like, yeah, clean up the stench, both your shirt and yourself. A little basic move right there. But you know, if you have a hotel room and your own shower, then you can do whatever you want. Dry stuff out. So anyways, yeah, the next day was a day without hitchhiking. Just chilling. I got myself the best meal I've paid for in Turkey. It's called hamsi tava. It's just a big old plate of fried anchovies, a big old plate. Fuck yeah. Oh, it's so good. So good. I love anchovies. I always have since I was a kid. My dad was big in anchovies. I don't remember the first time I had them, but he was probably the one to introduce me to anchovies. Like my favorite slice of pizza is sausage and anchovy for sure. That's the New York slice to get. So I'd never seen this before. Just a big old plate of fried anchovy. I was like, hell yeah, I got to try that, because I heard it was like a sort of a Black Sea special, you know. So I'm like, I'm spending Monopoly money on that for sure. That's gonna be a treat. And did that, and yeah, just spent the day. I walked to the beach, the boardwalk, and was just kicking it. And I guess I kind of thought I was gonna hitchhike a little more that day, but just as the day went on, I was like, nah, I'm just chilling. So yeah, I just kicked it, just walked along, poached a couple coffee shops. There's a Starbucks. I didn't even get a drink, but just sat there in the Starbucks. They don't give a shit. And just charged up phones and stuff like that. My phone's like, it dies every day. This phone I got right now, battery kind of dies quick. So I have been enjoying this app called Firsty. I think I've mentioned it before, but it's worth mentioning again for anyone else traveling, or even if you're not traveling. I found it. It's called Firsty, Firsty, like first E-Y, Firsty. It's a free internet, basically. It's like a free eSIM. So it's an eSIM. So basically, you download this app and you follow the instructions on the app. And the way it works is you watch a 30-second advertisement, and then you get up to an hour of free data on your phone. Not fast, like you can't stream YouTube videos, but it's good enough to send out some messages or slowly load a web page, or yeah, the main thing for me is being able to send out like a WhatsApp message. But I think it probably contributes to the battery thing, just because I've gone the last few years without a phone plan at all. So of course my battery has lasted longer. But anyways, that particular day in Samsung the other day, yeah, using coffee shops without buying coffee to charge the phone. That was another day where it took a minute to find a campsite, and by a minute I mean like an hour and a half or more, just to walk to where I thought there was some nature, and then finally get up this big hill and then realize that it's all super hilly. And yes, I was like hidden, but there is nowhere to lay flat. And then, yeah, so it just took like an hour and a half, like going up and down this hill, through the woods, back and forth. Just, I'm like, there's gotta be one human-sized patch of flat enough ground. Finally, I found something. And yeah, camped for the night. Took another sip of beer in this moment. Yeah, Turkey's been pretty impressive overall. Just the scenery that I've seen along the Black Sea, it's been nice. People's hospitality, it's been pretty good. The busier the places, the trickier to get rides, but other than that, getting rides has been pretty easy. Yeah, not so bad. And yeah, not crazy expensive. I'm sort of on the fringes of my cash right now. That's why it's been kind of fun having this pile of Turkish lira. Just because I'm like, gotta spend it, gotta get through it. And no worries. Like, so yeah, waking up in Samsun, I'm like, all right, let me kind of keep it moving along the Black Sea here. So that was a slow day, just getting out of Samsun, just because it was sort of like urban sprawl, and just took a couple hours or so to actually get a ride from somebody. And by the time I did, it was like already kind of getting late, because I was just, I don't know, just enjoying the day and whatnot. But this guy was going to the next city less than an hour away, 30 minutes or so, called Bafra. And he was cool. He, again, took me into he's like, you got a minute? I'm like, yeah, dude, I got a minute. So he took me into the town and met his friend and got me a whole kofta sandwich, like a sandwich with this sausage patties in it, kind of. Hung out, kicked it with them for a little bit. His friend owned like a phone store, so we're just sitting around out there, drinking and smashing this food, and then gave me a ride to the edge of town. And just got like one more ride that night, 2 more rides to a tiny little town, but still I had to walk like 30 minutes to this town, and again walk up a hill, and then kind of seek out another place to camp. But I found one. I always find something. I guess you gotta be persistent. You gotta lay down somewhere, so you gotta keep walking until you figure it out. So it's probably like an hour and a half of walking to get to a spot. You'd think like, tiny village, whatever, should be easy, but took a little bit. But I found a spot. Camped out yet again, and then kept it moving the next day. And still just thinking how quickly I should get to Istanbul and kind of what's next. Which way I should go, continue along the Black Sea. And what I ended up doing was going to Sinop. So I got a ride from someone who was going there. Just this little town on a peninsula. Pretty cool, actually. Lounged around, checked that out. And then I was leaving Sinop, and I was like, should I continue along the Black Sea or kind of cut inland? And the ride I got was going inland. So off I went, and after a couple rides, it was dark, wound up in the outskirts of another city, Kastamonu, and found a place to camp there. I was already late. Finally, that was like an easier night of camping, because where I was, finally where I got dropped off, it was just a 10-minute walk to a very obvious nature with a flat ground. I'm like, all right, an easy one. Rained on me in the middle of the night, just for like 10 minutes, but sometimes that's all it takes. It's unexpected, so didn't have the rain gear out, so got a little wet, but wasn't too bad actually. Overall, it was a good night's sleep. And I woke up thinking all these options. I sent a message to a host in Istanbul, and by the time I got a service again with the eSIM, Firsty, that guy was like, yeah, you can come and kick it for a couple nights. So I'm like, all right, maybe I should just gun it to Istanbul now, which driving wise was maybe 5 hours away. I'm like, I can do that in a day. So started moving, a couple rides, and then I got a really good ride from this guy. Again, it's Turkish hospitality. This episode, if nothing else, is just a testament to Turkish hospitality. This guy was very cool, just telling me about different stuff. And what was the place called? Saffron Bowl, I think, is where he was going. And he's like, do you want to check it out? Are you trying to get to Istanbul? And I was like, I'm kind of trying to get to Istanbul before dark if I can. But he's like, you want to stop for some food? I'm like, fuck yeah, always. So we got like a epic meal of this kebab and a bunch of peppers and this yogurt drink. People drink a lot of over here. Yeah, it's a big old meal. Chowed down, and then yeah, he just went ahead and just toured me around Saffron Bowl, driving for a little bit. Anyways, yeah, I guess it's like a UNESCO heritage site, this little town. So pretty cool. And then dropped me off on the road heading to Istanbul. Got another ride across town, and then another van going away, and then yeah, this truck driver, who ended up being a pretty epic truck driver, picked me up, and he's like, I'm going to Istanbul. I'm like, perfect. And from where he picked me up and the timing, it was like, I thought I was going to arrive perfect timing, because the host who said he could host me in Istanbul was like, I get off work or whatever, and I'll be home around 7 p.m. And just like, it seemed like I was going to probably get here right at 7 p.m. or like actually like an hour early. So I'm like, no matter where this truck driver drops me off, I'll probably be able to walk, and like, this is gonna time out perfect. It didn't quite work out like that. It ended up being like a hell of a quest, but a good one. So this truck driver was just very cool. He spoke pretty decent English enough, and so we're chatting away, and then listening to music and going back and forth. And less than an hour from the city, he's like, let's get some food. I'm like, hell yeah. Always. So we went and stopped at this really cool truck stop overlooking the water there. One of the best views from a truck stop I've ever seen, for sure. Like, overlooking the water, close to Istanbul, sun setting, big chow down, couple things of tea. The first tea, which I've just been like kind of bragging on, like, had stopped working a few hours earlier, which it does from time to time. And like, I can't complain too much, it's free, but I'm like, damn, you're gonna do this now? Usually it's like fairly reliable. And like, damn, the one time I got someone like waiting on the other end, this is where you're gonna fail. So I was able to get some Wi-Fi, and he asked me, the truck driver, just so I could send a message to the host and just kind of give him an update. And I was like, I got this ride from a truck driver, and looks like things are working out. And the truck driver asked me where I was staying, and he ends up calling my host, and they're talking in Turkish and working it out, because I realized with an 18-wheeler, he can't drive straight into the city. It's kind of an issue. So they're working out like something else, like he's going to drop me off somewhere and put me on a bus or something he was saying to get to a metro. I'm like, okay. And I'm kind of looking at the map. I'm like, which way is this guy going to go? So we end up going way around the city, and which takes way longer than I thought at first. And now my eSIM's not working again. I'm like, ah, shit. Finally get like, we go like up above Istanbul and then around to the back side of it, and it's getting a little bit later, 9 o'clock or so. And I'm just trying to be, respectful of the host. You don't want to like rock into someone's place at midnight or whatever. Or even, after 10 is questionable. Especially since I'm like, I don't need service or something. So we get somewhere, and then the guy, we hop out of the 18-wheeler, and then he's like rushing me. we get to like a little bus stop area, and he's looking around, and then these like two college girls or something stop, and he starts talking to them in Turkish, and they're like kind of giggling, like what? And then he's got this like fistful of lira and like hands it to him, and basically I guess he's like, they're gonna show you the way. I'm like, all right, let's go. See how this works. So that's what I did. I had these two girls get me on the bus, and they paid for it. I'm like, nice. Like, we hop on this bus. We're on this bus for like 20 minutes or so, and then finally we stop. There's one of the stops, and I go, come follow. They didn't speak any English, you know, which is kind of surprising. Usually younger people kind of do, but not them. Super friendly, super nice, obviously, like taking me around. So then like we, go up these stairs and get to a metro, and she's kind of frantically putting bills in there, and I guess just to catch the next one in time. And then we run down the steps and get to the turnstile, and then we get on the metro, and then she's like pointing to the stop that I need to get off at, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then because they had to get off a little earlier, another burr, and yeah, they were super nice, but they got off, and there was like a couple other guys who were just like counting the stops and like, trying to think of the word in English for like 20 stops, like 20, excited that they came up with the word 20, and like, yeah, 20 stops. I'm like, all right, cool, super friendly. And I wish I had thought of it just a hair earlier, because I still hadn't, my eSIM wasn't working, and I should have asked one of them, but they got off, and I was like, damn, I should have asked them to use their phone to update the host, like, I'm coming, I'm on my way, like, because it was getting later and later, it was like 9, it was getting on 10 o'clock, and I'm like, oh shit. Because then I asked someone else, and they like just flat out said no. If I could use their phone, they like pretended like they didn't speak English or couldn't understand me, and I was like, all right. So got off at a stop, and Istanbul was like super hilly, so it was like maybe a 30-minute walk from the metro to this guy's place, just up and down hills. But luckily I got to his place at like 10:30, which is before 11 anyways. And even when I got here, is like, Google Maps had a weird address on there. Luckily I had offline maps. But yeah, that wasn't like accurate. And then I finally found the accurate building, but it was like a building, so I wasn't sure which buzzer was his, because there was no buzzers. So luckily there was like a little market nearby, and I went to the market to see if I could use their phone, and I showed the dude the phone number. He's like, oh, Ismail. He like knew the guy, which makes sense. It's like his local market. So he already had the guy's number in his phone, called the guy, and not only that, but like the dude stuck his head out the window. He could like see us and look down, like, I'll be right down. I'm like, all right, cool, this is working out. So anyways, yeah, obviously it worked out. He was still awake. And yeah, just a really super good person. That's where I'm sitting now, in his apartment. This was last night. We're all caught up, just about. So yeah, we spent like an hour or two just talking, bullshitting about philosophy and travel and different things like that. Till it was like, oh shit, it's like 1 a.m. or so. He's got work, should probably go to sleep. So and I'm like, I'm pretty tired, been camping the last few nights. Yeah, time to go to sleep. So yeah, woke up this morning, he went to work, was able to use his washing machine, get a proper wash. I'm all clean now. It's pretty cool. And yeah, spent the day, gave me the keys, it's always a good move, and spent the day just walking around Istanbul, checking stuff out. Mentioned a brewery, I found one. Everywhere else I've been in Turkey, no breweries. Starting to think like, this might not happen. I think actually up until 2013 or 14, it was indeed illegal to sell beer where beer was made. So brew pubs have not been a thing until the last 10 years, give or take. So it looked like there was like 3 in town. So I went to the one that seemed like it was going to be the best, and was also on the way to all the other stuff I wanted to walk around and check out. I've been to Istanbul once before. but it's been years. So yeah, went to the brewery. Beer was overpriced and very not good. It's like, that's a bummer. I'm down to the end of my pile of lira, so I'm like, that was a hit I did not need to take, but whatever, gotta do it. I am who I am. I go to breweries. So there was another of the 3 breweries that I found. One seemed like obvious garbage, and the other one seemed like it could be hit or miss, and I just decided not even to go to that one after this one was so bad. I'm like, if this one's supposed to be the good one, I'm good. But yeah, spent the day just walking around to other spots here, doing some people watching and junk, and yeah. Got back here, buddy's going to a dance class tonight, so I'm just here. I'm like, I might as well record the podcast here. And yeah, that's what's up. So I'm in Istanbul, chilling. So that's been the travels lately, and let me catch you up on what might be next. A little gray area, but yeah, let's see. All right, so that's all the travels through Georgia and Armenia and back through Turkey and heading west, obviously. So my thought is to head back into Europe here, but it's a little potential snag. I should be okay. It's the whole Schengen visa thing. So I think it might be similar for other people, but definitely for the US, the deal with the Schengen countries. Schengen countries is like a lot of the countries in Europe, part of this like Schengen agreement. So there's no like borders in between. So for example, you can go from the Netherlands to Belgium to France to Germany to Italy, blah, 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 without borders, you know. There are no one's checking your passport. It's just nothing. There's no checkpoints. You wouldn't even know you're crossing into the other country if you're not paying attention. It's the same as like being in the US and going state to state. And with a US passport, you can spend 90 days out of 180 days in Schengen countries. And this summer, I was there for either 87 or 88 days, depending on how they count their days. I'm assuming they're going to count it like 88. So that means I've got 2 days of juice, Schengen juice, to get to the Balkans. That's what I'm thinking of doing, is going over to Serbia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Albania. All those countries are not Schengen, so I'm like good there, but I do have to go through Bulgaria, which is Schengen. And it just means I need to get through Bulgaria in less than 2 days, which should not be hard. It's only like a 4-hour drive, but that's from border to border. And just getting out of Istanbul, I think, might be a bit of a schlep. We'll see. This city is enormous. So my thought is tomorrow to get moving. And I think I'll just see how the day goes. If it's going real slow, like, I don't know, I'll get as close to the border as I can and maybe just stop and camp. That way I can maybe get across Bulgaria in just one day. But we'll see how it goes. Or who knows, maybe I'll go south into Turkey a little bit more. I'm just kind of see how I wake up and feel about it tomorrow. We'll see. I'm kind of excited to go to Kosovo, just because that's like one country in Europe I've never been to. I've been to like all the countries surrounding it. I've been to almost every country in Europe, I guess, at this point, but not Kosovo. So I think it could be a fun one. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, my pile of lira is down to about 200, which is good. It's good for one more dooner. Maybe even if it's beneficial to use a metro to get to the outskirts of the city, I might be able to use some of the lira for that. So I've got just enough to make some moves on my way out of here. So Happy days indeed. Yeah, I guess that's it for now. Like I said, get on there on trip hopping. It's really looking like a trip hopping brew in Arizona could be happening maybe in January or something. So I'm excited about the prospect of that. So if anyone listening is interested in being in Arizona or being around remotely to be a part of that and help trip hop and grow, yeah, give me a shout. And definitely check out trip hopping in the Android app if you want to in the group. Definitely get some Magic Mind if you're up for it. magicmind.com/freestyle show with the freestyle show 20 code for the 20% off to get some of that dranky drank mental performance shot. And yeah, guess that's it for now. Life is good. So happy days. Keep doing what you're doing, and I will see you down the road.
I need a new escape. With all my shit straight, I'll get my big brain.